The Milwaukee Bucks needed to make a move, and they did it. They made a huge one. Because tonight, as everyone on the East Coast was about to fall asleep, including me, the Bucks went ahead and made a massive trade for Jrue Holiday, which might just mean one thing. Is it possible? Can it be? Is Giannis going to stay? That is what we are going to cover in today's video, guys. We are going to look at the trade that just took place, and we are going to ask the question, is Giannis going to stay? Are the signs there? For now, though, I do want to say what's up, Mike here, and if you are watching this, I was literally about to go to sleep, so please make sure to subscribe so you do not miss a single video during this NBA trade deadline, this NBA draft, this NBA free agency period. Trust me when I say I'm going to be covering any news storyline that is relevant. As you can see, I'm also going to be uploading no matter what the time is. Moving on though, looking at this trade, the risk for the Milwaukee Bucks is right there in front of us, and it is more than obvious, because at the time that I am making this video, it has been reported that in order to acquire Jrue Holiday, Milwaukee has had to give up George Hill, Eric Bledsoe, and 5 potential first-round picks. Now, 3 of those first-round picks are just that, normal first-round picks, but 2 of them are future pick swaps. That means that the Bucks might not end up giving up those picks. Instead, when those drafts come, the Pelicans will have the decision to swap picks with the Bucks if they want to. So that means if things are to go wrong here, and if Giannis is going to leave the Milwaukee Bucks, the Bucks could end up giving up 5 of their future first-round picks, and basically that would mean that they are completely screwed. If Giannis leaves after this trade, we are looking at a Brooklyn Nets Boston Celtics situation. We are looking at a situation where a team leverages their future completely, with the chance that that could blow up in their faces. And so that means before we get more into the players involved in this trade, let's look at a tweet from Mark Stein. As Mark Stein tweeted, the last 2 weeks have been filled with chatter that Giannis Antetokounmpo indeed plans to sign his 5-year supermax with the Bucks before the December 21st deadline to do so. The Bucks just made a trade that suggests they must believe it. And so to me personally, that is all that really matters. Milwaukee needs to do whatever they can to keep Giannis because they are a small market team. Guys like Giannis don't exactly grow on trees in general, and for teams like the Milwaukee Bucks, you are basically never going to get a star on your team like Giannis in free agency. You need to get lucky and draft one, and once you do, you better take advantage of the years you have with him, because who knows when you'll be in contention again. Seriously, for all the talk of first-round picks here, at the end of the day, the goal of any NBA team is to win an NBA championship, and the Bucks have not even reached the NBA Finals since 1974 and have not won a championship since 1971. They won that title, of course, with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on their team, a player they had drafted, and they went on to lose Kareem to the Lakers, a team that is the opposite of the Bucks when it comes to market size. And when you look around the league, when you look at smaller market teams, when you look at teams that are not the Los Angeles Lakers, the Miami Heat, the Boston Celtics, you find that not only are championship droughts normal, but so are playoff droughts. I mean, look at the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Seattle Supersonics have won a playoff series more recently than the Timberwolves. That is a fact. You can look it up. Basically, what I'm saying here is that yes, the Bucks are going all in on keeping Giannis, and yes, recently, from all of the reports I have seen, from all of the reports that have been leaked, Giannis has been happy with what the team is doing, and it does look like he plans on re-signing with the Bucks. That, of course, will be great if it happens, but no matter what, I believe that this is definitely the right move here, because while the Brooklyn Nets were brought up before as a potential worst-case scenario, the Nets also had a much worse risk-reward factor going on there. The Nets gave up a ton of picks to the Celtics for a very old Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett. The Bucks, meanwhile, are giving up a ton of picks to the Pelicans in order to keep a player that just won 2 straight MVPs and is in the middle of his prime. If you have a player like Giannis on your team, you go down fighting, and that is exactly what Milwaukee is doing. As for the players involved in this trade, George Hill did actually put up decent numbers as a bench player for the Bucks in the 2020 season and the 2020 playoffs, but at the end of the day here, George Hill can be replaced. We'll talk more about him in a little bit, because when looking at Eric Bledsoe, what was of course the most important thing for the Bucks headed into this offseason was to keep Giannis healthy, and to do that, the Bucks had to upgrade their roster enough to win an NBA championship. And that is the real question here. When we compare Eric Bledsoe and Jrue Holiday, is Jrue Holiday good enough to make the Bucks an NBA championship contender? Actually, scratch that, does he make them an NBA championship favorite? Well, just looking at the raw stats here, we find that Jrue is a notable upgrade over Eric Bledsoe when comparing base numbers easily. Last year, Jrue averaged more points per game, assists per game, rebounds per game, steals per game, and blocks per game. He also was a better three-point shooter who both made more threes per game and shot a better percentage. What's more, when looking at the Bucks roster, it was imperative for them to get a second ball handler this offseason to help carry the offensive load during the playoffs. Because as we all know, for the Bucks in the playoffs, Eric Bledsoe has been a massive disappointment. I mean, blame Giannis all you want for not stepping up in the playoffs this year. I understand that. Superstars are supposed to step up big time when the playoffs roll around. Giannis didn't do that. But let's not let Eric Bledsoe off the hook here. In fact, I think a lot of the Bucks' playoff woes in the last 2 seasons can be blamed on him. Just look at his numbers in both of the last 2 seasons. Eric Bledsoe was a worse player in the playoffs than he was in the regular season. In this past postseason, Bledsoe put up just 11.7 points per game on 39% shooting. Numbers that are not nearly good enough if the Bucks are going to advance to the championship, and more importantly, if they are going to win a championship. And yes, I more than understand that Chris Middleton has been a solid second player for the Bucks, but he is not the type of secondary ball handler that Giannis needs. Because according to cleaningtheglass.com, we're going into numbers here. Middleton was assisted on 48% of his shots last season, putting him in the top 94 percentile in the entire NBA on makes assisted. Think about that. Only 6% of forwards last season had more of their makes come from assists than Chris Middleton. Meanwhile, Jrue Holiday had only 38% of his makes come from assists, a somewhat high number, but luckily the shots that Jrue was assisted on came largely from 3-pointers. And if you dig deeper into the numbers, the shots that he was least assisted on, those came from shots at the rim. This means that Jrue is capable of creating his own shot off the dribble, something the Bucks have proven that they need, and it also shows us that Jrue is a solid catch and shoot player from 3-point range. Now, I'm not saying he's great from there. In fact, I would love to see his 3-point percentage increase next season, but what I will say is that Giannis is going to have another weapon to feed from deep in Jrue Holiday. The biggest thing here though for me was that the Bucks were able to land Jrue Holiday, a very highly coveted trade asset this offseason, without giving up a single part of their core that did not include their point guards that we previously mentioned. Now, of course, guys like Chris Middleton and Brook Lopez were going nowhere, and Milwaukee was not going to part with them because that would have made no sense. So guys, that of course leaves us with the question, is Giannis going to stay? Well, as of right now, we don't have an answer to that. Until Giannis actually signs his name to that contract, we're not going to have an answer for that. Okay guys, and so that is the Jrue Holiday trade. As for the Bogdan Bogdanovic trade, again, the Bucks are going all in here to keep Giannis, and really, I think this might be the chip that puts them over the top. Bogdan is just 28 years old. He's going to be playing in his 4th season in the NBA next year, and as we have seen, as the man has improved, he has become a bucket. Last year, Bogdan averaged 15.1 points per game on 37% shooting from 3 and made 2.7 3-pointers a night, something that is huge for the Bucks because they are going to need floor spacers. They need as many guys as possible to space the floor for Giannis, and Bogdan certainly does that. In fact, looking at his final 5 games of the season last year in the bubble, Bogdan averaged 23.6 points per game and shot 56% from the field, while also knocking down 3.6 threes a night, and he shot 47% from 3. This is a huge get for the Bucks. Bogdan is the type of offensive player that is going to give them a lot of lineup flexibility, and again is going to give them a lot of offensive firepower. Man, Milwaukee just made some huge moves. Personally, I think that they are showing Giannis that they are doing everything possible to get him to stay, and so with that said, I would not be surprised at all if this season we do see Giannis sign that supermax, and from there we will see if the Bucks can step up in the 2021 playoffs and perhaps win their first NBA championship in what, around 50 years? That is a long time, but anyway, thank you guys for watching today's video. Again, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. I'm going to post a bunch of videos about NBA trades, about the NBA draft, about NBA free agency, and then after all of that, we have the actual season where I will never stop posting. So make sure to subscribe so you never miss a video. If you're already subscribed, thank you so much for supporting. You're awesome. We all know it, and as always, have an awesome day, guys, and cue that music. If you're still here while the music is cued, here are 2 videos I think you are definitely going to enjoy. Make sure to click on one of them. Again, I know you're gonna love it, and other than that, have a great day and peace.